Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone actually.
We still had the otters from yesterday.
All good. We have decided that otters are scary creatures.
Yeah, I can't believe that lady got attacked by a rogue gang of otters. Did you hear? Did you hear that, Stephen?
I have missed this one.
It was, what country was that in?
Malaysia, I think.
Yeah, I think
Really?
it was somewhere like that. The lady was jogging and got assaulted by a group of otters, and like she's all bloody and like beaten and bruised.
It's like what, 8 or 10 of them?
Were there no rocks or sticks around?
I don't know.
They said they have noticed unusual behavior since the community started feeding them. So, they figure maybe she had granola in her bag or something.
Okay. Yeah, that very well could have been the case. It's there are multiple warnings. I've never been to Yellowstone, but I've talked to people who have. They always say there are signs everywhere: do not feed the bears. So.
Well, that makes sense. But yeah, that was kind of one of the stars of the show yesterday was the otter attacks.
Yeah. Whenever you begin habituating wild animals, it usually ends bad, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
is when you stop feeding them.
Right. Well, and people don't use, or they don't think about long-term ramifications. We went to Gatlinburg. This was like 2002, the first time we went. And we rented a chalet on the side of the mountain. It was me and my brothers and all our families, so there were like 13 of us. So we just rented a house. And the people next door to us, when they left, everybody has like cages around the trash. Well, they had left the top open. So we look over and there are like 4 baby bears up in the trees off the side of the mountain. We're like, oh, look at them. And then we happened to glance down on the patio next door. There was Mama. And she had gotten out a bottle of syrup and had it sitting sideways, and she would jump on it with her front feet and shoot syrup out and go lick it up. And then she'd come jump again and lick it up.
That's crazy.
So, but like I said, she was so used to people leaving stuff out that she knew how to get to it.
Yeah, and she got used to human food, so going into the house would be the next move.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that. So Rachel's grandma lives in Harlan, Kentucky, and she was outside picking stuff out of her garden one day, and comes back with the basket like full of vegetables and stuff. Opens the door and she thinks that her husband's in the house. She turns the corner to the kitchen and there's a bear in her kitchen. And she said it scared her and the bear equally, and the bear broke the window jumping out of the house.
Wow!
Oh my goodness!
Hey, Landa.
Hey, Landa.
Wow. We're just riffing for a minute to give everybody a chance to join, but I don't know. Are you guys familiar with? I'm assuming you've heard of McKamey Manor by now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was funny the way that I heard about it was, I think it was last year. Hadley had posted a thing about, hey, Morgana, let's go do this. And it was $20,000 if you can stay all night at a haunted house.
Yeah.
I'm thinking haunted house, not carnival. And so I'm like, hell yeah, I'm all for it. And then Rich came back and said, yeah, but in the past they've pulled people's teeth out. They've done this. I'm like, whoa. That is not the haunted house I was picturing. I'm picturing Amityville, something like that.
Yeah, you're thinking of something like everybody else would be,
Right.
It's speaking of the haunted places.
Speaking of haunted houses, have you guys heard about all of the stuff that's going on with the Conjuring house?
No.
So somebody bought the Conjuring house, and this lady the lady that bought it has become like obsessed with it. Like she talks to the spirits there.
Oh, wow.
And one of the spirits told her that another employee was stealing money. And she fired the employees, and the employees like, you're literally listening to a spirit box tell you this. Like, I don't know what you're doing here. But yeah, apparently she's like holed up in the Conjuring house, just listening to demons tell her what's going on with her business.
Well, I would be more concerned with how would the demon know?
Mm-hmm.
Are they just being, malicious, or are they telling me things I need to know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question.
I've known about like the 2013 Voss, back when Voss was just straight up documentaries.
Back when it was worth watching.
Yes, Voss used to be great before it split and all of the stuff. Like they just became like regular news, but they did a short back in like 2011, 2012, 2013 that actually gave a lot of notoriety to McKamey Manor. It was when I believe he was even still in California at the time, but that's when I kind of heard about it. And then of course when Hulu came out with their documentary, which we'll talk about, but that was messy. But I guess we should probably just start at the beginning.
Yeah.
For everybody listening, if you're not familiar, I'm sure a lot of you are, but this is a very lengthy history. And all of that to say, I believe we have a good potential of having a guest on in the future who has participated in McKamey Manor and has been at odds with the owner of McKamey Manor. So this will be a good setup for when we get to talk to them.
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, it will.
So the early years of McKamey Manor, it was pre-2000. The founder of it, his name is Russ McKamey, and he had developed a passion for horror and haunted houses at an early age. His fascination with creating elaborate, immersive haunted house experiences grew over the years. Initially, these were small home-based attractions that he ran for friends and family. And we're going to get a lot more into Russ. He is a very interesting and terrifying and malicious character. But go ahead.
Yeah, still to this day, because he was just recently in the news.
Well, and that's why I think that's what originally made us interested in doing this episode.
Yep. Because it came up as one of our strange news stories, and there's a lot there.
So the first official iteration of McKamey Manor, it began. This is the era of 2001 to 2009. The manor began in San Diego, California in the early 2000s. It started as a regular haunted house, though it was noted for being more intense and elaborate than most. And California is actually known for that. There's 3 or 4 of them out there that are like that kind of experience where you got to sign a waiver and they spit on you and pour stuff on you.
Grabbing you and
yeah, people are grabbing you, and even the ones that are open in California still are very like suspicious. Mm-hmm. Like there've been people report like sexual assaults and stuff like that. So I think these are just really, when you cross over from a haunt to a sort of torture situation, I think the Stanford experiment kicks in, right? Like people. Any of the Stanford experiments, like the prison one, the mental institution one.
Yeah.
I think when one person has or thinks they or perceive they have dominance over another person, it just escalates from there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the big thing down here. We don't have so much haunted houses as we have like haunted hay mazes and stuff like that. And back when Stephen was in high school, he participated a couple of times, as part of the scare. he said, and that was the big thing, was just jumping out, and just like grab somebody. But, they didn't get into the torture and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
But still, it's that if somebody's not expecting that, that can be rough.
Yeah, for sure. But apparently he was continuously innovating the attraction. By the time we get to the end of this, I don't even want to call this a haunted house anymore. It's like it's just like a torture. What can we call it? That's fun.
Venue, torture venue.
A torture venue
or extravaganza.
Yeah, a torture extravaganza.
Yeah,
the torture palooza. Landa worked at a haunted hayride.
Yeah. Well, I guess before we get too deep into this, back when I was in high school, we used to do the haunted house every year as part of our fundraiser. Whether you were, I think it might have been like a junior year, you would raise money, for your senior trip and stuff like that. And we used to do the haunted house, and a lot of times, we had the chainsaw. Of course, we take the chain off of it, but we did our best to scare them.
Yeah.
I don't know if either of you did that in high school situation or not.
I've never been a scare actor, but I know people. I know Landa now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I said, I don't do haunted houses because strobes are usually involved, and strobes cause me to throw into a migraine. So I had a friend at work one time that was just throwing a fit, wanting me to go to this one over in New Orleans. It's huge. I mean, it's one of those every year, people come from all over the country for it. And I'm like, do you hate me that bad? She goes, what? Is it going to scare you that bad? I'm like, migraines, girl, migraines.
Yeah, we have an area here around Hot Springs, Marvin's Gardens, and they do a big Christmas light show, every year. You walk through it. And there was one set of lights there in one particular part of the area. I started getting sick in my stomach looking at those lights. I had to cover my eyes, and they had to.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I couldn't handle it.
So by the late 2000s, we're still in 2001 to 2009. By the late 2000s, McKamey Manor started getting a reputation for pushing boundaries and offering experiences that were far more immersive and intense than traditional haunted houses. He gained the notoriety, like I said earlier, around 2010 to 2013 when Voss did that documentary. It was just a short one, and it was, that's really like peak YouTube too. So things, it was easy to go viral on YouTube at that point in time, especially for controversial content. So word really spread throughout that point in time, 2010 to 2013. He was booked out for months in advance. He had a whole team of people that actually did this. And there were people lined up to do it. And it was around this time when he began incorporating physical restraints, confinement, waterboarding, and other intense psychological challenges. And apparently it was even more than just Voss, but various outlets started covering this as part of their news cycle because it fueled, I guess it was attention grabbing, it's shock jocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is it? Is it the sadomasochist that likes to inflict pain on other people? He
certainly is. And, if you watch these documentaries, there's numerous at this point. You can go on YouTube, and we're going to talk about a YouTuber that's in the middle of all of this controversy too. Mm-hmm. But you can go on YouTube and look at any of these documentaries on the McKamey Manor, and he's always like, yeah, all I want is just for you to buy me a bag of dog food so that I can feed my dogs. I love my animals. And then in the earlier ones, he's married to a different woman than he's married, or that was with, he was with recently. Yeah, it was married to. And he kind of treats her bad in the documentary, but he's all like pro animal, and he's like, yeah, I just do this for the community and this and that. But his first big show that he was part of, there was a limited series around 2017, I believe. It was called Dark Tourist on Netflix. And this guy went to all kinds of these crazy, like, dark places all over the world. Like, he went to, the village where they pull all of the bodies out of the ground every year and commune with the dead.
Yeah.
Like, he went and did that. And for whatever reason, McKamey Manor ended up on this list of the darkest places in America. And I don't think they could do it. But he did allow them to film some, I think. But these appearances basically were just highlighting the extreme nature of the attraction, which further amplified people wanting to do it. And as it became even more well-known, even more people were criticizing it, and they accused it of being less of a haunted house and more of a legalized form of torture. Former participants then around that time began sharing their experiences online, describing it as super traumatic. There are people that still have PTSD from going through the attraction, the Torture Palooza. But several people that participated, they said they had psychological distress afterwards, no safe words, and they described the extreme nature of the challenges. And this is also the beginning of doubt, like around this time, 2017, 2018. He was a career Marine. His name was Russell J. A guy came forward, former Marine, and said, I'm going to beat this challenge. And he went through it. He basically beat the manor, and he did 9 hours and 45 minutes out of the 10-hour tour. And McKamey pulled him at the last second because there's a $20,000 prize if you beat it. So McKamey tapped him out 15 minutes before he had to pay the $20,000. He did this because people have speculated that he doesn't have the money, just like that the haunted house that described doesn't exist. But he said he pulled him out because of hypothermia, and 15 minutes before he won. I think that's a little suspicious to be pulling somebody.
15 minutes isn't going to make a difference in a hypothermia case. So.
That's I agree with you there. I don't know. I kind of chuckled a little bit with no safe word. That's
yeah. And if you go on, if you search it on YouTube, you can actually find this Marine talking about his experience and stuff. And I don't know. This is something that you'll hear over and over again. Are people who, ex-military or people who are used to extreme conditions getting really close to beating it, and then at the last minute they get tapped before he has to pay out the money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now I don't know if he still works there, or I'm not going to say exactly where he works, but people often spotted him working in retail. So like entry level retail, like you go to the store kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which
behind
was
the counter at the Dollar General.
Yeah, something like that. And I always thought that was odd, because you would think where he ran this for so long in California that he would have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But if he's working a job like that, and who knows, maybe he was just working that job to pay his property taxes and all of his stuff paid off.
Yeah.
But
it could have been.
But the relocation to Tennessee happens in 2017 or 2018. So he basically got ran out of town in California because, if you compare Tennessee's laws to California's, maybe Tennessee's a little bit more relaxed when it comes to some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But it was growing pressure and scrutiny that drove him out to the Manor to Summertown, Tennessee, it was 2017. The new location allowed for more space and the opportunity to increase the scale and the intensity of the experiences, according to him. And this is where the introduction of the new 40-page waiver comes into play. And we'll get into some funny stuff with this waiver after a while, but participants basically had to meet with him. This increased customization. So you would have to meet with him and tell him basically all of your deepest, darkest secrets and fears as he went through this 40-page waiver. And then he basically called it that he was making a psychological evaluation of you to make sure that you were fit to even do the quote unquote tour. But from what I've seen, and this is kind of a pause from getting through the history, but from what I've seen, I've seen quite a few of the documentaries. I've seen witness testimonies, and he had a very tight-knit group of people that supported him through all of this. Like I'm sure he had something like a Discord or somewhere where they could talk like privately. Like he had moderators and stuff and all of that. And anytime somebody, and it's probably a good thing that we waited until now to make this show, because anytime somebody would come out and talk about this, they would get swatted with, or like doxxed with his fans. And they would just basically troll the show until it got took down, or the creator, if they were speaking out against it. And then afterwards, Russ would come like threaten legal action and all of this stuff. Because, it's torture. He did his best to protect this thing up until what happened recently. And he was doing a pretty good job of it. This YouTuber really like blew the lid off the whole thing within the last year though. And earlier this year, the YouTuber that took him on, it ended up ruining his YouTubing career. I think he got demonetized and everything because of it. And because of people swatting him and doxing him and threatening his life because he was exposing this stuff.
But, most likely the majority of the people making the threats and everything else had never actually been through the torture, the 10 hours. It's easy to, be a keyboard bully when you've never experienced what some of these people have.
Yeah. And to me, it sounds, I guess I don't want to use too strong a language, but it sounds something that will be closely associated, with like Jim Jones or some of these other groups, where these people, they've bought in hook, line, and sinker, and they're all in, committed to the guy.
It did feel like that. It felt cultish, and like I said, he had a TikTok too, where he would go live and basically answer questions about it, and anybody that said anything negative. I think there was a guy and a girl that was like his moderators, and they were absolutely nuts. Both of them. But I don't. Do you want to hit the continuing controversy?
Yeah, I'll get it. So around 2019, there was a Change.org petition launch calling for the manor to be shut down. It described the attraction as a torture chamber under disguise and garnered tens of thousands of signatures, further fueling the public debate. Well, at this point, he's getting more and more media attention, because that kind of thing sells. And they were like exploring the boundaries between extreme entertainment and psychological torture. So, in response to the growing criticism, McKamey made some adjustments to the rules and operations of the manor, but the core experience was still the same game that it always was, and with very few people ever coming close to completing the challenge. But despite all the controversy, he still maintained that the manor was primarily a charitable endeavor. The entry fee is a donation of dog food, and it goes to support his animal rescue efforts. And you want to get people on your side, take care of the dogs. I mean, that's a reality. I like my dogs better than most people. So,
Yeah.
if you're taking care of animals, then I probably have a little bit more leeway until you start getting to a certain point.
Well, and he flew under the radar. Like we'll talk about his problems with the government here in a minute, but he flew this under the radar. So he moves in 2017 to Tennessee, and he flew under the radar for almost 10 years, torturing people legally.
Yep.
And back to what you had said about, California probably being a little stricter. Okay, we all live in the South, and we all know that, growing up, I was under the philosophy of, oh, well, if she pulls that TV down on top of her, she's going to learn a lesson from it, and that's kind of how it goes down south, So I could see him very much getting away with more here, because it would be looked at as you made the choice to do it.
For 100%. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, if you were stupid enough to do it, then you got what you deserved. And, that doesn't matter that it crosses lines.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to go on and jump into the 23-24? Or?
Yeah, if you want to hit him. And I've got, before we do that, I've got, let me see if I can pull this up.
Okay.
And maybe we can find some interesting stuff in here.
Oh, yeah. The waiver.
Yeah, I've got the waiver. And I'm sure that this is still hard to see, but there's basically you sign your name, and there's an accidental death and disability clause in here.
That's red flag number 1.
Yeah.
It is the intention of the participant by this instrument to expressly assume all risk of personal injury, death, or property damage to the exclusion of McKamey Manor, to exempt and relieve McKamey Manor and all of its actors from liability from personal injury, property damage, or wrongful death caused by negligence.
Yeah.
And now just think about that for a second. You're literally saying that it's okay that somebody negligibly kills you.
Yes. And you know what? I had somebody tell me this. It's been probably 10, 12, 15 years ago. The biggest lie told in this generation is I have read and agree to the terms and conditions.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to read a 40-page document.
No.
So, number 18, participants fully understand that McKamey Manor is not a fight club and will refrain at all times from fighting with the actors. Participant was warned numerous times about the intensity of McKamey Manor by the owners and other members of the crew that you really don't want to do this. Participant agrees and understands that your life in reality is not in danger and this is just a game. Participant agrees and understands that during the tour and participant is in the van, they will not be secured by a seatbelt or other safety device. Participant understands and agrees that they realize they are not being tortured and that this is just a game.
Even though you had to sign away your rights, that told you, or they
it's like
you.
It's almost like it's contradicting itself, right?
Yes, absolutely. Right there, it is a contradiction.
Participant understands that they are not being beat up, kicked, slugged, or actually physically harmed. You will be roughed up, but no one there is going to hurt you. knowing that McKamey Manor is very rough and not for the meek, participant will have bumps, bruises, black eyes, and swelling in the face. Now, how do you get black eyes if you're not getting beat up?
Yeah.
How do you get? That's in the same sentence. You're not getting beat up, but you're gonna have black eyes and swelling in the face.
That's like getting beat with a billy club, and we're not beating you up.
Right.
Yeah. Participant understands and agrees that they are never being held against their will. Now, remember, there's no safe word.
Yeah. And they drive you to the location because you're not going to have a seatbelt on during that part of it.
Right.
Participant understands and agrees that in reality, they will never be threatened for real inside of McKamey Manor, and that in reality, they are not threatened after the tour is over. Participant understands and agrees that they are aware that this is a live theatrical show, which is being performed specifically for participants and other guests. Participant understands and agrees that the characters they come in contact with during the tour are just actors, and they are there to provide a performance for the participant. They fully understand that by signing this waiver that they are giving McKamey Manor permission to keep nothing off the table except sexual or inappropriate situations. Everything else imaginable can and will happen. Well, what about not getting beat up a minute ago?
I was going there too.
You are aware of this and are giving full permission for any action that may happen inside of McKamey Manor.
I would really love to know, just like you had like
an attorney definitely didn't write this.
No. Attorney definitely did. It'd be curious to me, like if a profiler actually did a profile on this guy to tell you more about him.
Mm-hmm.
With all of this right here and the way this contract is written, it's obviously not written by a professional. But
participant agrees to and has full knowledge that if selected to visit the barber, participant may leave completely bald, including the eyebrows.
No.
Okay, participant, even though you're not going to get hurt, no one will hurt you, is what this just said. And then row 30, participant agrees and knowledges, not acknowledges, but knowledges that mouse traps are used within the tour, which may result in bruising, cutting, or breakage of fingers.
Wow.
It said above that nobody's going to hurt you.
See, this right here, I'm just imagining in my mind how much fun it would have been for you to have taken Cecil there.
Yeah.
I just want to be the person following with a camera on that visit.
Yeah, because I can see them not having a good night.
Okay, you're going to love this one. So they're not going to hurt you, but if you're selected, you could be buried alive under 12 feet of dirt and rock, to which they will have a limited amount of air, and they will have to figure out how to escape, and they could possibly breathe in a significant amount of dust, dirt, or foreign objects that may cause death if participant does not breathe properly or hold their breath at the right time.
Wow. That's kind of very, very visual.
They're not going to hurt you. Keep that in mind. Participant agrees to partake. Yeah, that's right. I guess that's the legal loophole. The mouse trap's what's hurting you.
Yeah. You didn't follow the rules. Hey, baby girl.
Participant agrees to partake.
Hey.
Well, I'm not going to read some of this stuff. So, participant agrees to a hot stunt that involves walking a plank 25 feet above the ground without a safety net.
No.
25 feet above the ground without a safety net. Nobody's going to hurt you. It's external forces that's going to hurt you.
That's where the death comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That is self-torture. You're doing that to yourself.
Participant agrees if selected, they will come in contact with a variety of live poisonous animals. It is the participant's responsibility not to panic or agitate the animals. If the participant is bitten, it's because the participant made a sudden movement within a confined, secured environment. Participant agrees and acknowledges that they are responsible, whether they quit an activity or not, for bringing all the equipment and materials back to the van.
Okay, so you're going to torture me and then expect me to carry my fair weight.
Yeah.
Participant acknowledges and agrees to be submerged in 60 feet of open water. Participant acknowledges and agrees that if their breathing apparatus will be removed and that it's their responsibility to make their way to the surface on their own. If done incorrectly, there is a real chance of the participant drowning or receiving decompression sickness, the bends, which could cause permanent injury or death.
Yes. That's why they have those chambers so you can.
Yeah. Participant acknowledges and agrees that it is 100% their responsibility to use a safe phrase if they feel like they are suffering.
But there's no safe word.
Right. They never gave them a safe word. Participant understands and agrees that they will absolutely get cuts, severe bruising, swelling due to open hand striking on their faces and other physical contact, which could result in a black eye and possible rope burns to the face, neck, arm, hands, legs, or feet.
Rope burns to the neck.
Yes.
Yeah. This sounds like it was written by a teenager.
Yeah. Participant agrees to and understands that they might come in contact with electrical stimulation.
Yeah.
This really is like the hell contract. Yeah. So participant understands for this specific show only, they are being offered a safe phrase. It is up to participant to use this phrase to their weakness if they feel they need such a weak precaution as a safe phrase. And they have to circle yes or no, apparently.
So I'd love to know what kind of safe phrase it is. Something like thermonuclear physics.
Yeah.
Something you would never think of while you were being physically tortured.
Well, I'm sure he was probably bullying people into not
you're
making a safe phrase. Yeah. So they may come in contact with raw sewage.
No.
It says that, and I think this is where the so do you guys remember the escape room movies, like where they were streaming it to people on the dark web?
Yeah.
So this says that the entire tour will be viewed by a live audience in Vegas, the Philippines, or Thailand, and they will act appropriately. So it wouldn't surprise me if these torture videos weren't being like paid for and streamed like on the dark web and stuff.
Right. And them getting suggestions. Ooh, do this. Ooh, see how they act if you do that.
Or like the movie Hostel, where they were being live streamed and, people paid money for them to do certain things to them.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
That is crazy.
I'm going to find some. So participant understands that injuries resulting from slip and fall, such as ankle, knee, back sprains, muscle tears, flexed or torn ligaments, is not the fault of McKamey Manor. They may incur injuries from exposed screws or other protrusions, which may result in lacerations.
I'm feeling more and more like I am going to be beaten.
They may result in injuries from scare tactics.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of The Running Man. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Back in the 80s?
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of that in some way.
That was a Stephen King book, so that says a
Yeah.
lot.
They may come in contact with carbon monoxide poisoning. They may be injured from falling props. Let's see. Here's a good one. Number 50. They understand that once they enter McKamey Manor, there is no quitting unless serious physical or psychological injury is present. So that directly conflicts the whole safe word thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Squid Games. Yeah.
There you go.
Squid Games. It is Squid Games. So injuries may occur during the tour of McKamey Manor, which is not limited to head, neck, back injuries, death, stroke, traumatic brain injury, brain aneurysms, cerebral or retinal hemorrhages, subdural hematoma, loss of consciousness, whiplash, harmful heart reactions, nausea, headache, dizziness, lacerations, broken or strained bones, torn ligaments, bleeding wounds, scrapes, cuts, heat stroke, drowning, and none of this is the responsibility of McKamey Manor. That almost sounds like a pharmaceutical ad.
Yeah, it does. You just did not read that nearly fast enough.
Yes.
You can still understand enough of it.
Somebody crop that and put it at twice the speed.
My next question, are there any reports that anybody actually died from this?
No reports. No reports that anybody died, but there are people who say that they pulled their teeth out. There's proof that they were waterboarded, fingernails pulled off. Like there is some brutal stuff that happened to these people, but I haven't heard any official deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Participant agrees that being scared and having a panic attack does not count as serious injuries. They understand that the use of there may be the use of hypodermic needles, zappers, tasers, and dog shock collars.
Wait a minute. What are they using hypodermics for?
I don't know. Like maybe to make you think they're injecting you with stuff while you're blindfolded?
Or they are injecting you with stuff.
They pulled the needle out in this kind of type of situation. Somebody's probably not going to have a really good night.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure of that. That's no.
So the participant agrees that they may be crushed in a pit by various objects. Participant agrees that various fluids, such as food coloring, grease, theatrical blood, or other liquids, will be placed in the participant's mouth. It's the participant's responsibility not to swallow these fluids. They agree that they may be fish hooked, which inadvertently may cause rippage in the mouth area. And they've got to list their allergies in this section.
Agree, Landa.
You can find people who went through it. And like I said, we're going to be hopefully having a guest in the next month or so that actually went through McKamey Manor. And we'll have the opportunity to pull this back up and be like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Like you agreed to this and you're at odds with the owner. And my understanding is a lot of people, after going through all of this, it actually wasn't as cool as all of this is making it sound. Like they weren't torn apart by the end of it. Like this, the way all of this is laid out, it sounds like Hellraiser. You know what I mean? Like the ultimate experience of pain.
So it kind of makes you wonder. I mean, the worse somebody might react on this right here, the rougher the tactics would be on the participant.
Yeah, the more, if the participant is holding up to these torture tactics, the harder that it would get on the participant.
Okay. So if you've been just scared to death like Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, then it probably wouldn't have been quite as bad.
Yeah. There's one that popped out. So Participant understands and agrees that if they are selected to visit the dentist, that they will have their teeth extracted without Novocaine. And this actually did happen. Participant agrees that their teeth may accidentally get chipped or broken or lost, and they will not hold McKamey Manor liable. It is possible that their joints, such as jaw, shoulder, elbow, wrist, knee, hip, may accidentally be dislocated. The participant understands that they will be participating in various medieval torture devices, such as knife throwing, while strapped to a spinning wheel, shackles, chains, gibbet cage, stocks, the rack, etc. Participant understands and agrees that they may be bruised by paintballs. That's its own thing. Number 64 is participant fully understands and agrees that MK Ultra may be used.
No, that's just fake news right there, man.
right. Participant understands that water torture may be used. They agree that nails may pierce their hands. They agree that their hands may be smashed with tools. They agree that their fingernails may be removed from their nail beds. No. They understand and agree that medication may be given that induces hallucinations, or sedatives given in pill form or by a hypodermic needle at McKamey Manor's discretion.
How did they legally get a hold of LSD?
Right. It is super disturbing, Holly. It just keeps getting worse. So, and we're gonna keep going because this is getting crazier and crazier. So
yeah.
They understand that they may receive a tattoo or piercing, and it is responsibility to care for such a tattoo in order to not get hepatitis or an infection.
Okay, I'm going to be highly pissed if you put some stupid shit on me for a tattoo. Yeah. And I like tattoos. So.
Well, they could tattoo your forehead if you sign this contract.
Right, exactly.
No.
No.
So they fully understand that choking may occur and that gagging or vomiting may occur. McKamey Manor will use humiliation tactics such as name calling. Now, where does name calling fall in? Where does that fall in from teeth extraction and fingernail removal?
Tully, you're useless. You're no good. Doesn't that hurt?
Yeah, that hurts way worse than being shot up with LSD.
Right?
They can try to hurt my feelings, but I used to hold the flashlight from my dad.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, maybe they tattoo your safe word on you. That would be helpful, actually, Landa.
Wow.
So you will be exposed to extreme temperatures. You may have a plastic wrap covering your face, which could possibly cause suffocation, blackouts, etc. And that you will not hold McKamey Manor liable. You will come in close contact with live animals, not just the poisonous ones, but these are the non-poisonous ones, such as mice, rats, roaches, tarantulas, millipedes, centipedes, snakes, spiders, potato bugs, worms, larvae, snails, slugs, grubs, crickets, etc.
Okay, I was good until you got to the bugs, and then now I can't sign it.
The next bullet is you will be asked or may be asked to ingest those live bugs.
Oh no. I wouldn't even watch Fear Factor. That got too gross for me.
Holly, Cecil had to have an emergency lobotomy tonight. So he's out of the office for the night.
Ooh.
But he will be back before you know it. Let's see. You will be exposed to a caged drowning pool, and that your head will be completely engulfed in a toilet, and possible drowning may occur. Participant will not hold McKamey Manor responsible.
I just figured it out. If I'm drowned and dead, I won't hold them responsible.
Yeah,
True.
You're exactly right.
And they can just show your family the sign.
Yes.
Yeah. You agree that your hands and feet will be zip tied.
No.
You agree that you may be hung upside down by your ankles.
That's another no.
Participant fully understands and agrees that when you're taken hostage in the first moments of the tour, it is extreme physically and daunting, and participant will receive bumps, bruises, strains, broken bones, black eyes, etc. And participant will not hold McKamey Manor liable. They confirm that they are not electronically wired for surveillance. Participant agrees not to bring any weapons for their safety. Participant confirms that they currently have medical insurance. Holly, I don't know who would participate in this. The more we're reading of this, there's a lot of lines that contradict each other, but it does just keep getting worse and worse. But it seems like we're about to get into how McKamey Manor employees were protecting themselves. So you have to have medical insurance. You can't have any form of drugs or alcohol in your system for their safety, I'm sure. You can't. So participant confirms that they have never been arrested or incarcerated for a felony. Participant confirms that they are not wanted by law enforcement. Participant agrees to remain in a safe zone until the other guest is ready to depart if the participant quits. So I guess they were taking multiple people at a time. There's the puppy.
Yeah, it thundered.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Participant confirms that they are not involved with law enforcement and are not part of a McKamey Manor sting operation.
That's pretty clear.
Participant fully agrees to continue the tour and challenges themselves during the McKamey Manor experience, even though at a specific moment in time, participant requests the tour to stop and to leave McKamey Manor. So you agree? Let me read that one more time. Slow. Participant fully agrees to continue the tour and challenge themselves, even though at a specific moment in time, the participant requests the tour to stop. That says that you cannot quit.
Yes.
And you agree to have the tour continue no matter what participant may say at any time of their panic state of mind.
So, in other words, you can use your safe word. You can say, I'm done, and they're just going to ignore you.
Yeah.
Well, 91 participant fully understands and agrees that there's no quitting until the staff of McKamey Manor stops the show due to completion or because the participant is at a physical or psychological level that it is best that the tour is stopped. I think Holly asked how is this even legal? This is the NDA and waiver that McKamey Manor had people sign when it was running. And we're going to get into all the problems with McKamey Manor after we get through this. This is just too fun to.
Yeah,
I'm having fun reading through this.
Yeah, it is. You would think that somebody who lost a tooth during this might try to challenge this NDA.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess either they took legal action against people, but more than legal action, just from like reading testimonies and watching videos, it seems like that his crew, like his loyal followers, would just dox people and basically humiliate them until they, went away.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they didn't have somebody to come back on another night with their own crew.
Yeah. Well,
and get even.
I think if you're someone crazy enough to sign this agreement, they're probably just like, oh, well, I can't really do anything because I signed an agreement. It's basically saying that they could kill me if they wanted to. But I'll read a few more and then we can get into the trouble with McKamey Manor. So participant will at many times during their tour have their entire body, including their face, completely submerged in water and will be forced to hold their breath. Participant agrees that if they do these activities, they may also have their eyes and mouth duct taped and a mask over their face while they're submerged, drowning in water, pretty much is what this is saying.
Basically waterboarding or something equivalent to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, waterboarding was up top. It was one of the first ones.
So now would this be the part where they hung you up by your ankles and dropped you down in the water?
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Participant has been told several times and on more than one occasion by Russ McKamey and others not to take this tour. Participant has heard all of his warnings and refuses to listen to the recommendation not to take the tour. Participant fully understands and agrees that it is their responsibility to read this form before taking the tour. Well, if they're not reading it, they're not reading that either.
No.
But participant understands that they will never receive any money for anything that is sold or broadcast concerning the participant's image of themselves. Let's see. I'm trying to find some juicy ones. Participant agrees that they will eat a wide variety of digestible cuisine from around the world, and participant could be force-fed by an actor or another participant. So
participant?
Or another participant, yeah.
How do they get them to go along with this?
I don't know.
Either you eat it or they eat it.
Participant agrees that there is a real possibility that their extremities will be crushed by heavy objects. Participant agrees that they will be submerged in a pit of undetermined material that could possibly crush their body. Participant agrees to have hundreds of pounds of chains wrapped around their body with the possibility of being crushed to death. Participant agrees that they may be severely whipped with a fire hose or belt. Participant agrees that they will be in very close contact with fire surrounding their entire body with a real possibility of getting burned or possible death. They will have their head enclosed in a box with bees, wasps, and may be stung. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting through it. We're only on page 12 of 23. So, you know, we could keep reading through these, but I mean, it's a lot. You get the gist. They're allowed to do anything they want with your body.
And FYI, you can Google McKamey Manor disclaimer or
disclaimer.
Yes, yeah. And you can find it if you want to read every word of it.
Yeah, if you want to read every word. But basically, number 134 is they will be dragged on dirt, cement, and other various ground environments with the real chance of becoming unconscious due to choking or the participant's mouth being covered by hands, a bag, plastic, etc. So that's the NDA. But to get back to the juice of this story. So in 23-24, there is a YouTuber named Reckless Ben that decides to take on Russell McKamey. And Reckless Ben went for, hell or high water to take him down. His channel got demonetized. And I don't know, Morgana, do you want to hit the background?
Yeah. But yeah, Reckless Ben, his actual name was Ben Schneider, and he called himself a professional infiltrator. And before he decided to take on McKamey, he had made videos in which he infiltrated a cult, a restaurant owned by a hate group, and more. Well, during his McKamey videos, he's visited the fabled haunt and come away with the conclusion that there really wasn't anything to see. It was bizarre things that he exposed. And he claimed that there are thousands of people on his waiting list and that he has hundreds of rats and a 2-mile-long zip line. But when Schneider and a number of his collaborators applied to go to the haunted house, they were apparently skipped the line because they were accepted almost immediately. Once there, they underwent some physical challenges and were berated and humiliated, but nobody reached the haunted house itself. Not because they tapped out, though. In one case, McKamey claimed his camera ran out of batteries. In another case, he threw someone out for asking too many questions. So Schneider used a number of creative tricks to take the wind out of McKamey's sails, including altering the contract that he makes everybody sign to share the footage online. He also started an LLC called McKamey Manor after a representative for McKamey Manor threatened legal action against Schneider for using the company's name in his videos. One of Schneider's videos was taken down by YouTube, apparently because McKamey reported it for revealing the location of his home where the manor is. And then his entire channel was demonetized, as you said, and some of his videos on McKamey are being taken down unfairly for exposing what was really happening inside. And you can go into this way deeper. His channel is still there, and he does cover a lot of this. And that's where he pulled into it.
Yeah. So basically, Reckless Ben, his channel is awesome, by the way. Like, these videos are like hours long. So you really need a point where you've got 3-4 hours to spare and just watch every video sequentially.
Grab some popcorn and make a day of it. Some of them are hilarious because he even employs, like, after he gets kicked out of McKamey Manor, he starts getting his friends to do it. Mm-hmm. And they basically determined or allege that there is no manor, that he has none of this stuff. And people are basically getting tortured in a field in Tennessee. Right. Exactly. Wow. Because, they're blindfolded. They don't know what's going on, and they told them all these things that could happen.
Yes. Yeah. Not that they're not getting tortured. Not that, people's teeth are definitely getting pulled out. Their fingernails pulled off. They're getting waterboarded. But as far as this grand submersion in cages and water and zip lines and poisonous animals and all of that, like, that's really what was
the river out back.
Yeah. So part of it, I think, like, back to what we were reading a minute ago in the NDA, like, it's almost like the NDA is set up to just terrify people so that when they do take you out in a field and blindfold you and waterboard you, you think you're in some kind of crazy facility. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't checked out, I would say Reckless Ben's channel is one of the most compelling cases, because that's all he does is infiltrate like crazy scenarios. Like, he goes to cults, like you said. He's infiltrated hate groups. He's kind of like a YouTube undercover agent. Yeah. But he really does troll. Like, you could tell Russ was getting really pissed off. He would show up at his place of work after this all happened, because he couldn't do nothing about it. He would just show up and be like, "Why won't you let me in the manor?" Uh-huh. Like, and he would just, it was really, really bad. But in March of this year, though, so this was last year through the beginning of the year that Reckless Ben is doing all this. And then in March of 2024, Russ McKamey actually takes on the government. Mm-hmm. So there's a 32-page lawsuit filed in late March where Russ claims that Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmedes, because I guess there was a FOIA filed. So there was if you know anything about it, there was a documentary that came out on Hulu recently, like within the last year, And Russ wasn't happy with that. Like, I think he actually, we'll get to that at some point. He sues Hulu about the documentary. But after the documentary, the Tennessee Attorney General files a FOIA. Well, Russ countersues the request for information in the investigation, and they wanted recent inspections of his property by another state agency, which he said were in violation of his First, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendment rights. Skermetti began raising concerns about McKamey Manor's operation, following the release of the 2023 Hulu documentary, in which past participants claimed that there was no way to stop the tour. And I guess that's really the rub here between torture and consensual torture is that you have a way to stop it, and if there's no way to stop it, it's just straight up torture.
Right.
The documentary, though, is called Monster Inside America's Most Extreme Haunted House on Hulu, if you guys want to check it out. It featured 5 people who were previous guests and footage from the tours that had been posted online, and a 2019 promotional video from the Manor's YouTube page that depicted some of the horrors that visitors were subjected to. They could see people who were getting dragged via heavy chains, locked in confined spaces while water pours in. The Attorney General wrote in a letter on October 31st, 2023, so almost a year ago, announcing his intentions to request documents and information as part of an investigation. And in the documentary, McKamey is quoted saying, "We're known for no quitting and no safe wording." District Attorney Brent Cooper previously explained to the local news station that torture is technically legal between 2 consenting adults, but anyone can revoke their consent at any time. And I'm sure this would not fly in California, right? Like, that's why he moved from California to Tennessee. He probably looked at the state laws and figured out where he could go to get away with this.
Right.
I'm curious on one thing, though. I mean, it's like, for me, if I was dumb enough to go sign up for this right here and they brought out a snake, would they try to hold me responsible for injuring 2 or 3 people getting away from the snake?
Yes. Yeah. The waiver says so.
So they could, no. I mean, this is, and the fact that people evidently enjoyed torturing people, that's another thing. I mean, I don't understand that.
So,
well, there's some deep darkness in some people.
Yeah, and you're about to see that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So the Attorney General said that some of his concerns were also related to past participants claiming that they did not have access to the 40-page waiver that described the risks involved with the tour prior to signing up, and that the $20,000 prize may have been impossible to win, which I think up to this point, it's obvious that there was no $20,000 prize.
Right.
Allegedly. So in a statement provided following the filing of McKamey's lawsuit in March, a spokesperson for the Attorney General said that the AG was focused on protecting Tennesseans. And when the Attorney General's office hears allegations of serious consumer harms, we work to respond quickly. They said they were engaging in lawful, they were trying to keep them basically in check. But yeah, I'm not going to read that whole thing because it's just more background. But so he files that in March of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then flash forward to July 2024. We covered this we cover weird news every Friday. If you're just tuning in and you don't regularly watch us, we do just like off the beaten path weird news every Friday at 7 Eastern. And this came up, which is what kind of prompted us to do this long form. But in July 2024, the owner of McKamey Manor was charged with attempted murder and rape.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's heavy, but that's where we're at currently with it. You want to hit that, Morgana?
Yeah. And like I said, they he's going along trying to get his, lawsuit through and everything. And then they charged him with attempted second-degree murder, rape, and domestic assault. Court records showed that Russ Allen McKamey was arrested at his home on July the 19th after allegedly assaulting his girlfriend. He was booked into jail on a $1,000 bond in order to have no contact with the victim. That right there is all you need to keep somebody away from somebody else.
$1,000 bond.
$1,000 bond.
Wild.
Right. And don't do it again. Okay. So more charges have since been filed accusing him of trying to kill his girlfriend on more than one occasion. The first time was on Wednesday, July 17th, a day before the alleged assault. In the arrest affidavit, investigators said McKamey strangled the victim to the point that she lost consciousness during a domestic altercation. A second altercation reportedly took place the same day he was booked into jail. Police said that he raped the victim and strangled her, causing her to lose consciousness for a second time. And then they pressed additional charges and changed his bond to over $100,000. He has shown you what he's capable of. Why was he allowed to be in a position to finish what he started?
To me, that right there sounds like he's a really good manipulator, and the fact that he attempted to kill her once and she was there for a second time. Why would you go back to somebody like that?
Well, it was a day later. So was she under the impression he was in jail? And he came back to the house?
Bonded out and went back.
Yeah. And they didn't specify on anything that I read over how it happened. But like I said, it was a day apart. So it may be that, she didn't realize he had bonded out. And even though they're supposed to let a victim know when someone has gotten out on bond, things slip through the cracks and don't happen.
Yeah. I think it's important, like, even in the early days, it's like I told you earlier with his other wife, you could tell that he was kind of weird toward her too. And, all of this is just allegations and stuff, secondhand stuff like that. You're seeing it through the lens of another camera pretty much.
Right. But all of that said, with the show out on Hulu and him being arrested for attempted murder and rape and everything.
Oh, yeah.
McKamey Manor is still open 24/7.
I think where there's smoke, there's fire. Like, yes. It would not shock me at all. Like, we have a disclaimer at the beginning of the show. I think we're good. Yeah. But like all of this is just alleged, but you can imagine that if he's doing this stuff to somebody that he's supposed to care about, what kind of stuff do you think happened to some of these participants? Like, it isn't surprising that some of them have PTSD, but also it's like Steven said earlier, somebody should be profiling this dude. Like, like taking his DNA to databases to see if it links back to anything.
Right. Or at the same time, I'm sorry, Morgan.
No. Go ahead.
But at the same time, I guess, let me play devil's advocate here. Maybe he's doing everybody a service just in case our civilization collapses, because this will be an everyday reality.
Oh, God.
But the difference being, I'm locked and loaded outside the manor. Right. And you come at me in my place and you're going to get a totally different outcome.
You can't take guns into McKamey Manor.
That's right. They specify that you cannot have weapons, and that's it's a funny aside. My husband, he works off. So, he's gone a lot of the time. For years before he would get in our bed at night, he would feel under my pillow and remove knives. I finally got past that, and I just, have other means without him fearing for his safety when he gets in bed at night. Yeah. But like I said, I was at home alone with two children for years. Right. And once they're up on you, it's too late to go reaching for something across the room.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
that's my story.
But I'm just I'm reading through I've got this I had this in the background. It says participant acknowledges that they will be wearing a dental mouthpiece through their tour.
I'd want a helmet.
So that's crazy though, because it said that they're pulling out your teeth. Why would you be wearing a mouth guard? So I think where we're going to leave off, this is where we're at in history so far. Is Russ I don't know if he's still in jail or not, but
I don't know.
He was charged with rape and murder. That obviously is not an admission of guilt by any way.
Right.
That's all just public record. He still has this lawsuit against the Tennessee Attorney General. I think he has a lawsuit against Hulu for. I imagine the reason that he has a lawsuit against Hulu is because it had the victims in the documentary.
Yeah.
And as of July 25th, he had posted bond and was released. Got you.
Okay. Yep. So he's out. He could be watching this right now.
Well, Russ, if you're watching, doxed.
we would love to hear your side of the story.
Absolutely.
About it all.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably not going to be on that one because
right.
Yeah, that would not go well.
No, but we are working on getting someone on who actually went through the haunted house. So probably within the next month or so, we will have a part 2 to this where we will be talking with someone who went through McKamey Manor and has been at odds with Russ. And we would not have Russ on the show. I was just joking about that.
Yeah.
But final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think he is a sadist and that he enjoys this and that's why he does it.
Right.
Because I don't think that as a human being that you can do that to people if there's not something broken inside of you. Yeah. I just don't think your normal average person has it in them under normal circumstances to torture another human being without provocation.
Yeah. I don't know what he did in the military, but that could have something to do with it too. But I think that you already have to have that core thing inside of yourself to be that type of person.
Which is why I also think that if you've been in the military, you should get lifelong psychiatric.
I completely agree.
I think that should just be a given. Anytime you're in a high risk job, police officer, anything like that, you should always have that as part of your health care.
Yeah. If you're in the military and you're serving our government, you should have free health care. You should have the best health care. You should have the best mental care. You should have free housing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because you've literally basically sold your life out. That's a whole nother, maybe the military contract don't have the pulling the teeth out clause, but it really is people put their bodies on the line for, freedom.
Right.
Right.
But I do. I feel like, him and the ones, his actors, I think that was their way of releasing something that was already inside.
Yeah. Because I agree with you.
Now, don't get me wrong. If it were me or you, if it came down to that, or if you were doing something to one of my kids, oh yeah, there's no question I would react that way. But just to do it because, it's fun. No.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
It's not fun.
The thing that gets me is how he wanted to come off as a humanitarian. We protect the dogs, but I'm pulling people's teeth out on the weekends.
Right. And I freely admit I like my dogs better than most people, but I also don't torture people.
Yeah.
And the reality is, if it came down to, because I've said this, before, if one of my dogs attacked a child, there wouldn't be a question.
Yeah.
You just, there's a certain line you can't cross.
Yeah.
Right.
But so yeah, liking the dogs does not free you from guilt for stuff like that.
Right.
So
Agreed.
Yeah.
But
You're right.
I think this is a heavy topic. I know I'm trying to make like comedic interjections.
Oh yeah.
But
well, sometimes you have to lighten it up or you're going to cry.
yeah,
You
this is terrible. And right now it's just an allegation of attempted murder and rape. So people are innocent until proven guilty. But
Right.
This whole situation is just super heavy. And hopefully, we can get someone on who's actually been in McKamey Manor. They can tell us what they went through. And I believe that this person advocates heavily against, the manor in general. So hopefully we'll have a part 2 to this. And we'll give some advance notice when we do.
Yeah.
But we appreciate everybody watching tonight. And if you haven't already followed us wherever you're listening, just hit the follow button. And we're here every Friday. We do weird news. We don't do this isn't the politics central or anything like that. We only do very strange news, UFOs, quantum physics, cryptids, paranormal, conspiracies. We do true crime sometimes. We talked about a serial killer last month. And then we do these Saturday episodes where it's more long form and we just kind of go until we're done. We did one on weather manipulation. I think we ran that one 3 hours. So just follow us wherever you're watching and, stay tuned. Hopefully we have the guest from who's actually experienced McKamey Manor. And do you all have any final thoughts or anything?
Appreciate everybody being here.
Appreciate everybody being here. Yeah.
We look forward to these, talking about these. We love talking about them, and we love that you love being here too.
Yeah.
So
we have no idea why you're listening to people talk, but we're glad you're here.
Yeah. I guess my thought is the quote from Forrest Gump: "Stupid is, the stupid does."
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I won't be going on that tour, just for the record.
No, not taking the tour.
Now, if I get that far north, I'm just going to skip by Tennessee and go into Kentucky and come see you in Cecil.
Yep.
And we'll find a Bigfoot conference or something to go to.
That sounds great.
Just go find a Bigfoot there in Kentucky. They are there.
But thanks everybody for watching us, because we are watching you. Good night.